Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Really excited to host yet again. And this one, we got really some great stuff planned, and really excited to welcome BigCommerce here. And this should be just a really great way to talk about keys to Cyber Week. Obviously, that's coming up, but then even broadly, when you think about your Amazon presence and what you're doing on D2C, how can those work together? What's the best strategy kind of going forward? And especially in the in the context of the upcoming holiday season, how can you get these two channels to work with each other rather than against each other? So just as we go through, a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. So first off, if you have questions throughout the webinar, use the questions box. You'll see that on the right-hand side of your screen. Enter questions there as we go. So, if they come up again at any time, please put them in there. You don't have to wait till the end. Although, again, we'll be doing that Q&A towards the end of the webinar. Additionally, we will be sending you a recording of this presentation roughly 24 hours after the conclusion of the webinar. So keep an eye out for that. And additionally, we'll provide this slide deck too. So if that's a better way for you to review the material kind of at your own pace, you'll receive that as well. So with that, I think we can kind of just start getting into it. And first off, just want to introduce our speakers. So first up there on the right-hand side is Jason Magee, who's our Senior Director of Sales and Business Development over here at Teikametrics. And Matt Dornfeld, who's the Senior Partner Manager of Omnichannel over at BigCommerce. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good. Waver, how are you, man?
Doing great. It's a gray day out here in Boston, but at least it's a little warm. So, it takes the edge off a little bit.
I love it. Yeah, well, it'd also be great. I want to make sure our audio is coming through okay before Matt and I, introduce ourselves and kick off talking. So let us know you can hear us okay. And me, Andrew, myself, and Matt are all in different locations. So love to know where the audience is as well. So feel free to drop a note. Make sure you can hear us okay and tell us where you're calling from.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, speaking of which, obviously love everyone here hopping on the line. And at the same time, yeah, if you have any issues with audio, anything, feel free to enter that in the questions box. I'll be kind of on the back side here answering those questions along with the, the more meaty questions around the content. So just feel free to get there if you have any issues. So with that, we can get into the agenda here.
That's on me. Here we go.
No problem. So first off, we're going to go through an overview of different Amazon ad types. And specifically, when we talk about these ad types, we want to contextualize them with where they should fit in your overall marketing funnel. And the cool thing about some of these Amazon ad types is that some of them are on Amazon and some of them actually show up off Amazon. So we're going to be talking a little bit about those. And looking towards both Cyber Week and then the new year, right? How can you use Amazon advertising as kind of a bridge getting you through this period? How should you be thinking about that, again, through the rest of the holiday season into 2021? And then Matt's going to really talk about what you should really be thinking about when it comes to Amazon and your D2C site, right? What are the strategies to make these things work together really, really well, rather than when you're fighting against each other? Finally, we're going to wrap up first with just really some hardcore tactics when it comes to adjusting to changes based on what you're seeing, both doing Q4, and then really questions you should be asking yourself, asking of your business prior to Q4, prior to the new year. And going through this question list is a really good exercise to say, am I in a good place? Am I in a place where I should feel confident about what's happening? Should I make adjustments? I think that's going to be a great exercise at the end. I see a few people chiming in here. Rahul, hi, from Portugal. Good evening, I guess, over there.
I love it.
Yeah, so great. Everyone can join us. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to Jason to talk a little bit about Teikametrics.
Yeah, it's worth noting, Matt, it's awesome to be doing this with you, man. I know you and I have some history. We crossed paths in previous roles, but always good. As big as the e-com world is, it's pretty darn small, isn't it?
Yes, it is, especially over the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great. Well, we'll take you into this. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Teikametrics. First, we're a technology platform, and what we do is we combine best-in-class technology with a team of analysts and experts with proven methodologies to help thousands of brands scale profitably on Amazon and Walmart and beyond as well. So I know there's a lot of folks that are clients of ours. Thank you all for your business. We want to focus more so on the value than who we are as companies, but it's important to know that we represent thousands of brands. We've been doing this for a very long time, so we like to think that we have a good platform to stand on and speak from good context. So Matt, over to you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so BigCommerce has been in the game for just over a decade now. We're open SaaS, very flexible, large-scale commerce platform servicing more than 60,000 merchants around the world of all different shapes and sizes, from B2B to D2C. And as many of you may know, we also went public earlier this year under the Big C symbol, and are really looking forward to what's in store next year.
The thing that I loved about, I think it was your CFO's post about how he had these audacious goals of going public years and years ago, go under the Big C name, right? So it actually came to fruition.
Yeah, no, totally came full circle, and definitely a massive achievement, even over Zoom. And the whole team's really thrilled about it here.
Yeah, nothing like being able to ring the bell in person, but that's a close second.
Close second.
Well, great. Well, again, Jason Magee over here at Teikametrics. I'm going to start off talking about Amazon ad types and how they relate to Q4. I understand that we have a broad audience here. We have folks who are very Amazon heavy, maybe no presence or just a budding presence on their D2C. We have folks from the BigCommerce side is D2C's been their game, their own website, maybe diving into Amazon a little bit. Then you have a lot of folks who do both, and they understand that each of them have an importance. So hopefully when we go through this, it'll be learning for some, strategy for others, and hopefully you guys get a lot out of this. So that said, I want to go ahead and talk about give you a quick guide of major ad types on Amazon. We can go down a rabbit hole with specifics in even more detail, but let's just group them into three main buckets. You have sponsored product advertising, you have sponsored brands advertising, and then you have Amazon DSP. Sponsored products and brands, I'm going to group them together. The main commonality here is these are keyword targeting based on people who are on Amazon. They're typing in keywords and trying to find products. These are very closely related in terms of goals, reach, what KPIs and metrics are. It's important to note that both of these structures are similar in the cost per click. It's not based on impression, which we'll talk about with DSP. It's actually somebody who goes and clicks on your ad is when you're charged. A lot of people know this, but if not, Amazon for sponsored products and brands run a second price auction. Means if I bid $5, I'll use the same example, Jason Magee cell phone cases. If I bid on the keyword cell phone cases and I bid $5, Matt bids $2, it's not just the price, it also takes in your account, your order defect rate, your IPI score, are you prime or not. I'm going to win the bid at $5, but I'm only going to pay 1 penny over what Matt, the second highest bid. So I'd pay $2.01. Where these ads show up, and I'll give actual examples here. They appear in Amazon search and result pages. There's an asterisk there because one, if I just go and click two keywords and click on a search term, that's a search and result page. But if I click into a product display page, you're going to start to see Amazon add more inventory. You can show sponsored products on another detail page. You can show a sponsored brand on these detail pages. So you're seeing more and more inventory for these products show up. On sponsored products, this is sort of a one-to-one relationship. I'm advertising one product. When that ad is clicked, it goes directly to that product detail page. Sponsored brands, a little bit different. I can link to one particular product display page. I can actually take people to my storefront as well. One main difference here is that if you want to run sponsored brands, you need to be brand registered. So if you run your own brand, your own D2C site, you can apply, and if you own the trademark and the rights to that brand, you can apply to be brand registered, which unlocks sponsored brands for you. We'll talk about this a bit later, but these are the building blocks, sponsored products and brands for advertising. This is, you need to skate to where the puck is. They're already on Amazon trying to make purchases. You want to make sure that they're coming to your products and you're getting that visibility. Most importantly, those conversions, those sales, and your return on ad spend. Amazon DSP is a different beast. Amazon DSP is actually segmented by audience-based targeting. This is when you're tapping into Amazon's massive data set of demographic data. Where do people live? What have they purchased before? Whether it's my product or another product, what are they searching for? What lifestyle style decisions have they made? Have they bought a new house recently? What's interesting about this is you're not, it's cost per milli, which means you're getting charged for impressions. So you have a cost associated for every 1,000 impressions you get on a website. Now the way Amazon DSP works is Amazon owns its own website. It owns IMDb. It owns Twitch now. It owns, Fire TV. They also have partnerships with a lot of other publishers. Like if I have USA Today, if I'm reading the news on USA Today, I may see a similar product or something that I'm looking for on an unrelated website that's not Amazon. That is what Amazon is. It's incredible. It's a really good way to bring folks in who may not be on Amazon at that time. For brand owners and the people on this site, you can link not only to an individual product on Amazon, you can link to a storefront that you have on Amazon. You do not even need to link to Amazon at all. There are a lot of companies like insurance companies, et cetera, that use Amazon DSP that don't even sell on Amazon. They're just tapping into that database. So it's certainly related to Amazon and it plays in a strategy, but you can actually direct people to your BigCommerce site if you wanted to as well. There is a $35,000 monthly minimum if you work with Amazon. The reason why I highlighted this is Teikametrics, you don't have to abide by that minimum. We are a partner of Amazon. We have a seat, an Amazon DSP seat. You don't have to have that minimum if you work directly with us. I did want to talk about, now we have these 3 ad types. Let's talk about the funnel. Like think about like what your goals are from advertising. Very top, you have awareness. I'm trying to grow my total audience of in this case, this is pulled directly from Amazon's site too, of Amazon shoppers in this case. So they may not be on Amazon at that moment. They may not be doing a search, but we know they do shop on Amazon. And I want to bring people who may be on Twitch or Fire TV or another website. I'm going to bring them to Amazon. Amazon DSP is how you actually grow your total audience there. Working your way down the funnel, you have consideration and purchase. I'm considering purchasing a product. I'm looking at different products. Purchases, I'm showing purchase intent. I've added it to my cart. I purchased this before. Sponsor products and brands is the right way to advertise there. If you're not as sophisticated on Amazon advertising, sponsored products is the first place to start, then sponsored brands, and then layer in DSP. DSP also allows you to reward loyal customers. If they purchased from you before, you can, if it's a replenishable item, you can re-pitch them to replenish the item. If it's a complementary product, I sell cell phone cases, but I want to sell a camera lens. I can now go after folks who already know and love my brand. That's the funnel in a nutshell. And again, I know we could spend an entire topic just on this slide alone, but if you all have questions, put them in here. You'll have Matt and I's contact info as well. Matt, this is great because this also alludes to some of the things you're going to talk about is growing a brand presence. Yep. I'm going to give you an example of a sponsored brands ad. So you're seeing this, when somebody types in men's blue jeans, you have these 3 results, all from Levi. This is a sponsored brand. You have customized text that you can showcase your brands more dynamically. You also have the ability to have 3 products. You have to at least have 3 variants. You can't run sponsored brands if you only have 1 product and no color or size variants. But in this case, you can do 2 things. I can say, hey, I'm going to show 3 different types and varieties of men's blue jeans that I sell. I can also show complementary products. You can see that Levi's showing jean shorts. They're also showing a jacket as well. Those are complementary products. So this is a very good way for you to show an array of variety of products that you have that either are exactly blue jeans or show other complementary products as well. thing that I love about sponsored brands is they have a metric called new to brand. This means they can actually show you if somebody's made a purchase from your one of your products that has not purchased that in the last 12 months. Matt will give some more examples of this later as well.
And Jason, out of curiosity, how long does it take to spin up a sponsored brand ad content, like what we're seeing on the Levi's example?
So Amazon has some custom plug and play tools. The companies like us do as well, where essentially you can provide the text and we can grab the 3 products and just grab literally the image that shows up on the sponsored product. You can actually, that's a good point. You can actually run sponsored brand video now. So Amazon has a video tool to use. You can also create a custom one. Short version is you can have them live within a day or same day if you wanted to. If you wanted to take some time to put together a video, it really comes back to, Matt, how long it takes you to put together the content. This can be custom content, but you can also build off of some of the easy build tools that Amazon and companies like us have.
Awesome.
Yeah, a really good point. And then sponsored products going down the funnel here. I'm actually gonna flip to a live example. This is an example for kid scooters. This is a sponsored brand for Micro. I actually have the scooter. My son does anyways. These are examples of sponsored products. These are actually in search and grid, which are blended in with organic rankings, but note that everything above the fold is all advertisement. So you think about how this is all keyword driven. What you should think about is shopper segmentation. So if I'm going to find an iPhone case, I'm going to search one of 2 ways. I'm going to search for a brand that I know I want, or I'm going to say, you know what? I don't care about the brand. I just want an iPhone case that fits an iPhone 12 that happens to be blue. So if you think about it, within a brand, let's say I'm JM Cases again, people either search for my brand or a competitor's brand. So it's important that if somebody searched for JM cell phone cases, that I bid on my own branded terms, but that's not going to be incremental to your business. You could also cannibalize a sale you would have gotten organically. But it's important that on your branded terms you advertise, because if not, Matt Dornfeld's cell phone cases are going to steal my market share. The other flip side is 78% of search terms are generic in nature. That's more incremental. They're not looking for my brand. I want to be more aggressive on generic and category terms that are just kid scooters or blue cell phone cases. I may even want to go a step further and be very competitive and say, you know what, you're about to buy Matt D's cell phone case. Mine's so much better. You could do that within sponsored products, which is just incredible to see. And then whole concept of funnel, I think Amazon is, obviously it's a flywheel, but within the flywheels are funnels within each segment of that. Automatic campaigns for sponsored products and brands is Amazon's choosing keywords in search terms in products that they're showcasing yours against. Use that to find new search terms that are changing and new products that are entering the market, then migrate those to manual campaigns where you can control every keyword you bid on. You want to start getting as specific as you can. That's how the funnel should work. Next slide. This leads into campaign structure. So let's say that we at Teikametrics started to sell foam pillows. It's important to have one auto campaign for that particular pillow, to always be finding new search terms and keywords that are relevant. Then you should really be migrating these into the shopper segmentation campaigns we talked about. So if somebody searches for Teikametrics foam pillow, that is my own branded search. I want to put that in its own campaign, my branded campaign. If somebody looks up Tempur-Pedic pillow, that's a competitor. I want to put that in a competitor campaign, and I may have a lower ROAS expectation, but it's an incremental sale to my business. Or if somebody looks up memory foam pillow, I don't care whether it's Teikametrics or Tempur-Pedic. I just need this pillow to fit my needs. You want to set goals on generic competitor and branded terms differently. So we could talk a little bit more about that in greater detail on a separate call, or we can give you some info on that. Interest of time, just to go forward here. Matt, this is where it becomes a very fun conversation about DSP and where you direct people.
Yep.
I'll talk more high level about DSP next slide, but I'm going to give you some specific examples for Q4 and especially Cyber Week and the remainder of Q4 that are important. So number one, you should find consumers in your market that haven't specifically searched out your brand. A good way to do this is to use Amazon DSP to find people who have purchased a competitor's product or are searching competitors' products. Maybe they haven't made a purchase decision yet. You can do that within DSP. Even if they've never looked at your brand before, you can leverage their demographic and search term behavior data to target that specific audience. The beauty here is once you target that audience, you can even retarget them later. You can target them during Cyber Week. But one of the things you see after Cyber Week is conversion rates still skyrocket even beyond Cyber Week. You can be retargeting them up until the shipping cutoff deadline. It's a very, very fascinating way to go about it. What you should do as a strategy, start off very broad, especially if you're targeting times like before shipping cutoff, Cyber Week. Think about what is what segment is my best converting segment, and also like what products, not only what products are working better, like what is more, like what am I likely to sell in November and December? That's what you should think about building a DSP strategy off the back of. And then Matt, what you'll allude to is this doesn't have to go directly to their Amazon site. I don't know if you wanted to talk about, you know, where it might be good to send them to their own website, but yeah, I'd just love to get your take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it, of course, depends on the catalog that you're using on your D2C site, but there's a lot of synergy between, you know, the top SKUs that you might want to lead with on your marketplace and similarly on your website. So, you know, we've talked in the past about, you know, hopping on trends and making sure that you know, the campaigns are staying relevant. So really, when you're directing traffic to different websites and considering the different kinds of audiences that might be looking for those products, it's good to have, you know, good synergy on the catalog and pointing to SKUs that you may be running promotions on or otherwise seeing, you know, great traffic on your website already.
Yeah, we'll talk about this, but I think something that was I'll save that for later. I don't want to give up all the nuggets yet. So this is an example pulled directly from Amazon as well, which is what capabilities you have for DSP. You have in-market audiences reaching shoppers that are show interesting and purchasing intent for your product or similar products. You have contextual audiences, which are reaching shoppers that are viewing products, but not adding them to their cart, not adding them to wish lists. You can also target lookalike audiences is, hey, forget about the people who search my brand. I know women age 20 to 26 who are into fitness. Find me similar audiences that I don't know about. And Amazon can use their data and go and put your product in front of similar audiences that may not know about your products. We talked a little bit more about remarketing, but I think I've beaten that one to death. So let's start and talk. Let's take a look at Prime Day and what happened, because this is an incredible precursor to what's to come for Cyber Week and the remainder of Q4. Prime Day 2020 for most companies was a lot better than Prime Day 2019, especially for third-party sellers who you control your inventory, you control your sales price more so, etc. It was very good for a lot of lesser known brands that aren't the big behemoths because it was announced with a short notice. Like smaller brands, D2C brands could be more nimble. What we did see, which was awesome, is we saw a larger average order volume during that time, which is even if you weren't running promos on products, people were still buying multiple products at once, more so than they were leading weeks up to Prime Day. Higher conversion rates. We saw conversion rates skyrocket even faster than the average cost per click increase for most, which I'll get into as well. Let's look at some more data. I think data is very important. Here is Teikametrics data on search volume over Prime Day versus the similar days 2 weeks prior. The big thing here is everybody won. Everybody saw increased traffic in every category outside of patio, lawn, and garden. A few insights here. Patio, lawn, and garden has been one of the darlings of COVID. Is people spending more time at home, they're sprucing up their house. Also, even though it may have dropped, keep in mind that's a higher baseline, and there's been more traffic there than there has been pre-COVID as well. So essentially, almost everybody's a winner here in terms of traffic. So even if you're not running specials or promos, you're going to see more traffic. Put yourself in a position to capture that audience. This is a really important one. We saw the average conversion rate lift in 2019 Prime Day at 7%. That went 2.4, 2.5x higher during this Prime Day. Conversion rates averaged an increase of 18%, which means that people are in buying mode. Like, we have already started a holiday season. One last thing before I turn it fully over to Matt is we looked at analysis of conversion rates over Q4 of last year from November and December. The obvious spike is last year's Cyber Week, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the Turkey 5 as we call it. But don't blow your entire budget just here, because look at what conversion rates happened even after Black Friday, Cyber Monday. People are in buying mode up until the shipping cutoff, where products wouldn't be delivered in 2 days. So obviously that kind of waned and dropped off. That's a massive increase in conversion rates on Amazon. Take advantage of that. So Matt, with that said, I'll turn it over to you, my friend.
Cool, thanks, Jason. Yeah, so let's hop right into it and talk about the bridge between D2C channels and Amazon channels and general marketplace strategy overall. So, as a merchant that's considering expanding into new channels, whether it's D2C or marketplaces and beyond, of course, it's important to be nimble and scalable and prepared for all of the operational changes and challenges that come with adding new channels, to your Rolodex. So naturally, there's a lot to focus on there. And for today, we're going to focus on 4 pillars of omnichannel strategy. The first of which is, as a merchant, choosing the right channel for your business based off of category and where you're at from a revenue perspective, efficiently managing your products, your orders, and your inventory as they start to sell across multiple channels, investing in marketing, which is a no-brainer across all of your channels as well. And then finally, optimizing your fulfillment strategy to make sure that you're delivering, a true promise to your new customers as well. So on the next slide, we're going to cover off on pillar number 1, so choosing your channel. So, before we really go too deep into the weeds, I think it's of course important to know, what category you're in and which marketplaces and channels make the most sense to sell your products. If you're selling auto products, for example, eBay is going to be a great destination for you. But if you're selling something that's perhaps less popular on eBay, maybe designer handbags perhaps aren't bestsellers on eBay, maybe there's a different channel that might be a better fit for you. That said, within BigCommerce, you have the new channel manager experience, which was actually launched just a couple weeks ago. And what it does is it dynamically serves up channels that will be relevant to your business, and then providers that help you integrate and list your products on those channels as well. So in practice, that means seamless integrations to Amazon, eBay, Wish, Google, Facebook, Instagram, and beyond. And of course, that list will continue to grow next year. But the important thing to note is you can connect all those channels directly from your BigCommerce control panel as well. On the next slide. So operations. So this is near and dear to my e-commerce heart. There's a lot that goes into being successful on new channels. And of course, that's rooted in connecting and optimizing your product listings on those new channels, be it, again, D2C or Amazon. So, I've had a lot of conversations with merchants over the years that have considered investing in one channel, but not another. Maybe they're really deep on Amazon, Walmart, eBay, but have no D2C presence, or the vice versa, and have no marketplace presence, but have a deep D2C presence. And I'm here to say that's a huge missed opportunity, since both kinds of channels are complementary to each other based on how you structure your products. So, when you're going to list on a new channel, of course, it's important to consider how you do that. Within BigCommerce, of course, we've got a number of partners from Codisto to Feedonomics and beyond that can help you list and scrub your data to make it the best listing it can possibly be, ahead of then layering on advertising, like Jason and the team can help you do at Teikametrics. So on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about optimizing your catalog for Amazon. So, if you're a brand that's starting to dip your toes into the Amazon ecosystem, it's important to identify some hero or end-of-life SKUs that either you're trying to get rid of or have been slow moving in the past. And then of course, optimizing those SKUs on Amazon with Prime. So everyone on the line here is probably familiar with Prime and being a 2-day promise. Obviously, merchants and customers can count on that, right? There's a lot of trust and faith built into what Prime offers. And naturally, there's a sales bump that comes with listing your products via Prime as well. The second big item is, of course, as Jason had mentioned, is registering your brand on Amazon's brand registry, which really helps you build that brand moat on Amazon, from which you can then start advertising and really owning as much of the customer journey that you can on that new channel as well. And then finally, we'll have a few follow-ups on this, but build your listings with enhanced content. So on the next slide here, you'll see some basic content. I'm sure we're all familiar with this. You land on a listing on Amazon, it shows you pictures, maybe a video, you get the gist of what's being sold. But obviously there's a step beyond that. On the next slide, we've got a few screens of enhanced content. So enhanced content requires some approval by the Amazon team, of course, for brands that have registered through the brand registry, but it is at the basic level is free. And what you can do with this content is really dive deep on how should your product be used. What are the best use cases? What does it look like? How does it feel? And the more you can hammer on that product and brand experience, the more your customers are going to remember that and remember to come back for their next purchase.
Matt, I have a question for you. Would you say it's a best practice that if you're going to have enhanced brand, so this is called enhanced brand content, used to be A+ content. But would you say it's important that this, in a way, mirrors your website with color schemes, et cetera? That way you establish like the brand trust and the cross-pollination there. What would you say is the best practice there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, when you think about omnichannel, it's about tying together your brand experiences wherever the customer will engage with you. So if you have an in-store presence, if you have a D2C website, if you have a marketplace channel or multiple marketplace channels or B2B presence, there needs to be a way or multiple ways that you're tying together that experience through a number of tools, obviously, that can help you do that. And starting with brand color schemes and related product content, those are huge steps in the right direction to make sure that when a customer engages on Amazon, they're going to realize exactly who they're dealing with, just as they would on their D2C site or some other channel as well.
This is how you separate yourself and establish more of a brand presence on these channels as well.
Exactly, build the moat.
Yeah.
So now on the flip side, when you're starting to invest in a D2C channel, going the opposite direction, very similarly, there are a couple of overlapping tactics. So of course you want to upload your best-selling SKUs with high quality content. So just like with Amazon, you need to lead with your star players and with content that shows how great they really are. But beyond that, one of the really awesome things about having a storefront like on BigCommerce, naturally, that you can bake in upsells or sell bundles and kits that can help drive your average order value, can help drive LTV. And there's ways that you can leverage other third-party apps to also build in functionality that operates based off of triggers. So for merchants interested in one SKU, you could actually serve up a recommendation to buy something similar or related, which of course increases the cart size. And then
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the big third one here is build a differentiated D2C experience. And I can't speak enough about this. There's just so many creative things you can do with a D2C presence. And on the next slide, we'll start to talk about that. Naturally, building a memorable experience is what drives brand trust and LTV. Like, we want our customers to come back to us. We want them to engage with us, give us feedback. And one of the great examples of that is a BigCommerce customer here called Magee, which sells sports products, or sporting goods. So in this case, on the screen here, you can see that they're selling a custom baseball bat. So the customer can go on the website and actually customize the bat for them. Similarly, if you've ever been on a Nike website, you can customize your own shoes. It's really important to give the customer control. And to take that a step further, we've seen a lot of brands will actually start hosting their own Facebook groups and collecting customers in one central place where they can iterate on new product ideas, feedback, and the like. So that way, again, you're hammering home that you care about your customer, you're listening to them, and then you're pulling their feedback through the product experience, which makes them really a part of the full cycle of your whole business end to end.
The other thing too is, like, Amazon, although it's made incredible strides in being able to have a legit brand presence, nothing nothing circumvents the control that you have on your own website. Like some examples, like Marucci is a good example. They sell bats sort of, as they come, out of the box, right? Or, not custom order. But if you want to go one step further and offer something customized, like we see this, like we talked when we were talking earlier about merch by Amazon. Like Amazon has a way for you to upload custom images sort of on demand for shirts. They're starting to do more of that with mugs, hats, etc. But it's a lot easier to have to invite them to your site and get them on your site for a true full-on custom experience as well. It's just so like there's one, you can certainly have a lot of I think there's a lot of value in having the same product on your website that's on Amazon, because as a buyer, I may come across something on Instagram and go look for it on Amazon. I may look at Amazon and say, you know what, I actually just want to go to the brand website and see what else they have. There's beauty in having similar products. You want to be omnipresent and be able to receive orders from whatever channel they come from. But it's also a way to complement one another with different SKUs, different experiences, etc. So I can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot to be gained by having similar SKUs, and a customer that's truly interested in what you have to offer and is curious about what else you may have in store will absolutely find their way to the website. Jason, you had touched on using DSP or other ads products to redirect to the website. That's certainly part of the strategy here that we'll touch on in a minute with marketing, but can't hammer enough on really focusing on the experience and what that will mean for your sales later on.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Third major pillar is marketing. Investing and automating in your ads on every single channel, and of course, like we talked about, understanding how your customers think and what they prefer to use will help you build better products and advertise more efficiently. So we hear, no brainer, right? If you're going to go on marketplaces, you have to consider a solution like Teikametrics. Whether it's Amazon or it's Walmart or other channels in the future, at scale, it's always better to automate and leverage expertise when you can. So, beyond the traditional marketplaces ads, if you're not already selling on Google and Facebook ads listings, you need to consider it. So Google right now offers free listings. So it's a no-brainer as far as getting your products surfaced in search engine result pages. And then on the Facebook side, with BigCommerce, you have a native integration directly into Instagram checkout. It can leverage other solutions included within our channel manager that help you sell your products via Facebook ads as well. So on the email SMS front, naturally, as Jason alluded to, you're collecting all this information about your customers that you don't actually have access to on Amazon. So emails, names, addresses, things that are typically gated on Amazon are not on your website. And you can take that information, fold that into targeted email outreach, SMS campaigns with partners like Attentive, and the list goes on, right? And that's again where that reinforcing the memorable, unique experience that comes with a D2C presence can really come to life when you start collecting all this useful data about your key customers. And then, yeah.
I was touching on one thing here, and you're going to touch on it with like ride the trends, but like when we talk about this, yes, you can make it so simple. Advertise on Amazon to drive listings to your, sales to your Amazon listings. You can advertise on Google and have it go directly to your website. You can advertise on Facebook, go to your website, email, etc. But this is a massive matrix, right? Amazon DSP, you can drive to your website. Google and Facebook ads, even your email list, you can drive it to a new product on Amazon. Like that's a really good way, is if you have a very good brand presence and you have a lot of followers and a big email list, it's not a bad idea to promote them to buy a certain product on Amazon that may not be on your D2C, or maybe do it initially to Amazon to increase the sell-through rate and your sales velocity. And undoubtedly, if you're a legitimate brand, they're going to find their way back to your brand anyways. So these are all sort of interwoven, and it's certainly not a one-size-fits-all. And then the one you were going to talk about, ride your trends, like we've seen a lot of people. I was reading this the other day in a D2C newsletter, which is, hey, when Amazon was touting Prime Day deals, a really good tactic that made us, it was like $70,000 of revenue, was running a Facebook ad touting a Prime Day deal, but have that ad go to your website, because it's riding on the coattails of a key selling season. So didn't mean to interrupt, Matt, but.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that the trends are huge, and I think what I want to double down on is that those are global trends, right? Like Prime Day may be here, but if you're considering or already selling in the APAC region, you may want to take advantage of Singles Day, right? And the big selling events that are happening all over the world, and that's really where channel strategy starts to, rubber meets the road there when you're considering where you want to be selling or where you are selling, and how you're investing in ads to scale those channels really, really fast. So I think that's a great example you had mentioned, and kind of riding the wave on Prime Day. And I think, knowing that this year Prime Day has been a bit of a moving target, it's great that, some brands were able to take advantage of that now, but as companies like Walmart and Target and others start to take advantage of similar offers, it's very easy, especially in the US, to bake those into your broader strategy as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So fourth major pillar here is fulfillment. So obviously offer fulfillment services that your customers want. So if you're new to D2C, you should really be looking at your website as a means to drive that community, and fulfillment is an excellent way to differentiate yourself, especially from your marketplace channels or your competitors. So I think the key point I want to make here is that customers remember their fulfillment and returns experiences. So if it's a pain to return something, they're probably going to be less likely to buy from you in the future because they know how hard it is in case there's something wrong. Just the same way, if you're selling across multiple channels, again, with Amazon, you've got Amazon Prime. You can do the 2-day fulfillment. You could also leverage multi-channel fulfillment. So if you have a bunch of stock at Amazon already with FBA, you can actually leverage that inventory and then use that inventory to then fulfill your orders that come in from other channels, like your D2C or like eBay and so forth. And the third major item here is adding 3PLs. Naturally, there are major 3PLs throughout the industry, from Deliver to ShipUp to Shipmonk and beyond. Deliver, I'm certainly quite privy to, and I think knowing that you can deliver a Prime-like experience on your other marketplace channels by pushing a 2-day tag, by having a 2-day promise, or even next day in some cases, is really crucial to tying that fulfillment experience together across all of your channels, and having the faith that you're going to deliver for this customer. They're going to get that product in 2 days. And like I said, again, that is a very memorable thing that customers hold on to and will remember ahead of their next purchase.
One thing I'll mention that too is, obviously everybody who hasn't been living under a rock, we know about this thing called COVID that's been happening. We've seen that Amazon for a while there restricted inventory that could be sent in to only things that were, PPP gear. And then Amazon, like the delivery time has been more shaky. It's not necessarily guaranteed 2-day delivery. So another thing I'll get in there before I make my point is Amazon now takes your IPI score, your inventory performance index and if you have an IPI score below a certain amount, you're capped on how much inventory you can ship to Amazon's warehouses. So if you have a 3PL that can honor 2-day when maybe Amazon can't, or if you have a 3PL that when you sell out of your FBA inventory, you can take it from your 3PL and ship it into Amazon, that's a very good way to make sure that your lights are always on. So those are just very important things. Not to mention, some 3PLs are actually certified seller fulfilled Prime. So they can, you still get the Prime Day tag on Amazon, but it's actually picked, packed, and sold by your 3PL or shipped by your 3PL.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And I think, to that end, when you're handling, your own fulfillment, or just thinking more broadly around your shipping strategy, I think it's really important to think about shipping as a profit center instead of a cost center. So, there's obviously a number of ways you can cut costs and strategize around, not losing money when you make shipments. But, 2 items I'd like to throw out there. That one, consider a flat shipping cost or fee to your customers. Maybe all orders are shipped with $8 shipping or whatever it is that makes sense for your business. But knowing that you're going to make some level of a margin based on whatever's being shipped and the cost to actually ship the item. Alternatively, I'm sure many of us have seen this on a variety of websites, but offering free shipping beyond a certain cart value. So, let's say above $49, the customer gets free shipping. That based on what you sell and generally what those things will cost to ship, that you'll make a profit knowing that the customer has to keep adding items to their cart to get the free shipping and make it worth everyone's while. So, from a D2C perspective, that obviously means, again, selling bundles and kits, having apps that are on your website and suggest other items. And you can achieve that in a number of ways, like using chatbot software and so forth. And really, again, thinking about LTV and driving those average order values up, this is making your brand memorable by having that shipping experience that they can enjoy and know at the end of the day that they're going to get free shipping as part of that purchase.
Absolutely. So we'll go through this next, wrapping up here pretty quickly. I know we want to leave some time for some questions, but just wanted to leave you with some final notes and setting yourself up for success. First off, I just want to remind people about COVID and the uncertainty, and we often refer to it as a tale of two cities. What you're looking at here is the change in March total revenue, and what you would typically see is a bell curve. Like most folks saw a small impact, and you have some tail, some lagging indicators in the long tail having bigger impact. It's actually completely inverted. It's like a U almost. What this shows is that the greatest percentages or cohorts of companies either were absolutely crushed down sub 51% of their average revenue, or you have the winners, which they grew more than 100%. So in the middle, you have folks who may be less affected, but still affected one way or the other way. You need to take this into account when you're rounding out this year and then heading into next year. There's still a lot of uncertainty that's happening right now, so please take this into account. Now, there are some questions that Matt and I wanted to go quickly back and forth about, and some potential adjustments. This could relate to both Q4, November, December, as well as into next year. But Matt, we talked about this a little bit, but what products should show up on your D2C versus Amazon or both?
Yeah, it's really those hero SKUs, right? So those champion SKUs that are going to sell well or already do sell well on one channel and would be a more likely sale to occur on the next channel. And then, again, if you're going in the marketplace direction, considering end of life SKUs are pretty popular. So getting slow moving inventory onto a marketplace where there's a larger audience to consider might get that inventory moving out of your warehouse and avoiding fees that may be levied on by the 3PL you're using.
Yeah, I think another good point is, I think we use the example of Untucked, and I maybe J Crew as well, where they use Amazon as a channel for closeouts and models and designs they're not going to be doing. Whether or not that's a great strategy, that's certainly up to you, but that's a really good way to get your toes wet if you're really worried about Amazon cannibalizing your own D2C traffic. Second one, it's more of a rhetorical question, but is your inventory, supply chain management, is it in a place where you're comfortable servicing multi-channels? And this goes into the third bullet, which is, do you have a plan for fulfillment? What if things change? Matt, you did a great job talking about you can use Amazon FBA to ship for other channels like your own website. Well, I discussed how you can use Deliver to, if you stock out on Amazon Prime, you can have Deliver shipping the orders for you while also sending part of that inventory directly to Amazon's warehouses as well. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I mean, I think it's just I'd say it's one of the most ripe places for automation, especially as you scale to multiple channels. So if you're considering taking on that next channel, but maybe you need a tool to help you scale with that revenue, we can certainly introduce those solutions. But back to the earlier point, being comfortable with how you're managing those channels and knowing you're set up for scale is crucial. Because the last thing you want to do is be caught flat-footed when volume starts really kicking upwards, and you want to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. And then what budget flexibility do you have regarding advertising? This is a loaded one, but I'll give you a simple way to think about it. Think about, we use a metric called TACOS a lot, which is of your total revenue that you're either achieving today or you're expecting to achieve, what percentage of that is spent on advertising. So one good way is look at, let's say I do $1 million a month. I know $500,000 is on Amazon, let's call $500,000 is on my own website. A general rule of thumb on Amazon that we see is a TACOS of 6 to 8%. Newer products may have a higher TACOS, meaning they're investing a lot more of their revenue into advertising to ramp up the product. More individual products may actually be the opposite, where you spend less on them because they're doing well already, and you're just keeping things running. So that's one way to think about it, is break it out by channel. Like, what is my revenue on this channel? How much am I willing to dedicate to advertising? And then rather than spreading yourself too thin to hit every single channel, focus on the most important channels for your business as well. And then Matt, if you want to touch on the last bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just repeating myself on the experience piece, it's so crucial to have that synergy, because Amazon or marketplaces and your D2C are complementary. They don't have to be enemies if you structure and strategize appropriately. And again, going back to making sure you have brand synergy and make one channel looks like another channel is a great way to make sure that as your customers engage with you in different places, that they're feeling connected, that there is that consistent experience regardless of where the point of sale actually occurs.
Absolutely. Now, here's my email and Matt's email. We don't mind. Obviously, we wouldn't put our emails up here otherwise. Reach directly out to us if you guys have questions. And then, Waver, did we put you to sleep over there?
No, I was enjoying every minute over here. So thanks so much for that. Well, yeah, I'm obligated, but that's besides the point. No, it was really good. There's definitely some nice stuff there. And yeah, so excited to get to questions. Obviously, we've got about 9 minutes, so want to get to as many as we can. So this is an interesting one. I can chime in here a little bit. I'm sure, Jason, you can talk a little bit. This is from Rahul. Thanks, Rahul, for tuning in. This is from Portugal. So he asked, in your experience, is there a difference in ROI conversion rate between sponsored brands and sponsored products? So I'd say generally, when you look in aggregate, right, sponsored brands from a conversion rate, or from a kind of overall conversion volume perspective, on kind of a per click basis, you're going to get kind of more out of a sponsored brand if you can get one, depending on the keyword, right? Just because of the overall placement. This is not, let's say, like 100%, but generally, right, when you are ranking #1, right, for a given keyword, which in the case of a sponsored brands, you're generally right at the top, right, those are going to drive more conversions than, let's say, something that's further down the page. However, right, those units are more expensive than a typical sponsored products page. So, that's kind of high level, but Jason, I don't know if you have anything kind of to add here in terms of maybe how people should think about this.
I think it really comes into what your goals are. If your goal is conversion rate, and actual like conversion rate and a very meaningful ACoS, sponsored products is always going to be the easiest thing to control, and typically maybe have similar, but often better ACoS or ROAS. If your goal is similar for sponsor, if your goal is I need conversions and I need them as profitable as possible, make sure when you're running a sponsored brand, don't send them to your storefront, which makes them click into products, make a decision, drive it straight into the product that you want them to be able to see. So it really is going to be really based on the tactics and what your goals are.
Yeah, great point there. You should think about this, on a much more granular basis, but I think that's a good kind of rule of thumb. So this was a question from Jackie, which I think is an interesting one, which is, right, this is a kind of involved question, but generally it's that, right, sponsored brands, sponsored products have been very good from a perspective of ad sales and ACoS, but she's found kind of DSP just having higher ACoS and not profitable. So kind of right, you're targeting different folks. Do you still feel DSP ads are worth it aside from retargeting? And I'd say high level, and Jason, feel free to chime in here. What we typically recommend is when you're investing in DSP, one way to think about this, obviously, you're thinking about this as a top of funnel ad. So on a strictly ACoS basis, right, you shouldn't expect what you're getting out of a sponsored product, sponsored brand ads, right, which is again, as Jason pointed out, right, it's a little bit lower on the funnel, so you're getting that more direct impact. However, what we typically recommend is when someone's really thinking about investing into DSP, think about it in the context of when you're reaching diminishing returns on those products within Amazon SERP. So if you're finding, hey, we're doing great for this product on Amazon, on the Amazon SERP page via sponsored products, sponsored brands, this can help just expand that universe a little bit. But again, it's a different ad unit, right? There's a CPM basis, so your expectations for that should be a little different than what you think of for a search ad.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing too is there are so many flavors of DSP, and DSP is its own funnel. Start with the basics: remarketing and conquesting. Those are ways to run DSP and be very ROAS and conversion rate focused. Don't try and go and sell. I don't know what you sell, Jackie, but don't go and sell like if you a TV to somebody just because they bought a new house. That's good to make them aware they may want a new TV, but get in front of somebody who's been trying to make a decision about buying a TV specifically, and they haven't done it yet, or they bought a TV that maybe they're not happy with. So you need to focus on what is my specific goal and KPI, and what's the best ad unit or strategy within that ad unit to hit those goals.
Great, and I think here's a good one for you, Matt. That's from Joseph. In terms of enhanced brand content, you know, where he says that, you know, do we put those kind of added elements in BigCommerce, or like how does, I guess, does that relationship work between BigCommerce and Amazon Seller Central in terms of that enhanced content?
Yeah, so when you're considering building out your product catalog with BigCommerce or an e-commerce platform, you want to leverage the catalog that's being stored on the D2C. So that's usually where a strong listings tool or even a PIM comes into play, where you're using it as a base to manage the content, be it images, videos, and so forth. And as you go up market, you can start leveraging solutions like Feedernomics that will actually scrub the listings and then the catalog content to make sure that it's as optimized as possible for sales on Amazon. As far as enhanced content specifically, you know, we'll just consider it at the most basic level. That content has to be approved by Amazon as well. So whatever you're submitting, whether you're pulling it from your D2C site or some other solution, you know, again, it will be approved by Amazon. And as you go up market, of course, you know, there's more attention paid to that as well.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's some great stuff. Here's one that I think is also another good one that kind of, I think both of you can chime in with. This is from Holly. You know, when you talk about 3PL, you know, I think we talked about Deliver. Are there other kind of options for folks that you guys know about that maybe, you know, Holly's just looking for recommended companies in that space? Obviously, there's a ton of them, but a few
Matt,
guys
your world, buddy. You go into the Rolodex, my man.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, of course. We would certainly want to know more about what you sell and what the goals are, and feel free to email me and follow up, and I can help drill down on the list. But I think depending on the channel, like we talked about, Deliver is a great option because they're more tech enabled for those other marketplace channels. And by that, I mean, Deliver will actually push a 2-day tag to your website, to eBay, to Wish,
to Walmart, which is huge. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the other thing. Oh, sorry, Matt, I interrupted you. Go for it.
Yeah, just the other point is that also dovetails to your advertising, which Jason, you know, I think you can weigh on as well, is that when you optimize for fulfillment and there's a 2-day tag, which naturally lifts the SKU, there's going to be maybe less budget needs to be applied to that particular SKU because it's going to get the natural lift from having the tag as well.
You nailed it. That was what I was going to say. Like on Walmart, having a 2-day shipping tag increases conversion rates by an average of 41.2%. So yes, some 3PLs may be a little bit more expensive, but like, would you maybe make $8 as opposed to $10 if I'm converting 40% more units on that? Like, so it's not just about the cheapest 3PL for you. You need to take into account the weighted value of that. Matt, you nailed that.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, feel free to reach out. Happy to drill down into your specific category as well.
Great, and I think we'll have time for one more question. I do want to call out Eric Mayer. I think you had some more kind of specific questions, and I want to get to those. So I'm going to shoot you a note offline just after this. I'm just conferring with some analysts on our side around your questions, so just a call out to Eric there. Final question here. which I think is an interesting one, which is around, I'm just rereading the question here. I want to make sure to get it right. So this is again, from Rahul. I think this is a nice one to kind of wrap up here. He has a brand growing, selling well on Amazon, but right, given that Amazon itself, right, they're penetrating more in e-commerce just generally. You know, what's, I guess, the benefit, and this is probably a good one for you, Matt, maybe just reemphasize kind of the benefit. You have this good business on Amazon, the benefit of adding kind of a D2C site, you know, in terms of maybe, right, the danger is cannibalization, obviously, but, you know, right, where's the kind of sweet spot there, right, where you're able to make them work together?
Sure. Yeah. Again, it goes back to owning customer data and being able to leverage that data in a number of different ways. So if you have a D2C website and you start collecting email addresses, names, etc., you can take that information, fold that into Facebook lookalike audiences, Google search campaigns, perhaps other channels that you may be considering as well, where that data would help build the target profile of who you're trying to acquire. And as Jason's talked about a few times, I think taking that audience and then also funneling that back over to your Amazon page it's a great way to leverage the different kinds of Amazon ad products that are available to you in conjunction with all the different other major ads platforms that you could be taking advantage of. And again, like in Google's case, free listings are great. And that's such low-hanging fruit where you could be doing that tomorrow or even today. It's still early. So I think the idea is that you can own more of the customer journey, you can own more of the customer data, and then leverage that into finding your next audience on some other channel.
The other thing too is like if you have all your eggs in the Amazon basket, God forbid, let's say you have an incredible product, you're an incredibly honest seller, which I prefer only to work with those, but there are some bad actors. What happens if they, you know, flood with a bunch of bad listings, or you get flagged or removed, your listing, your ASIN is suppressed, your company is frozen on Amazon, you have no backup. So that you need to diversify. So
yeah, no, this is some great stuff, and I really appreciate Matt, you hopping on. I think this has been some awesome content. Jason, as always, engaging and enthusiastic, which definitely need this on a nice gray day here. But hope you guys on the line really got a lot of this. Again, you'll get a recording of this presentation along with the full slide deck. So if you reviewed anything that maybe you missed during the course of the presentation, you can take a look later. If we didn't get to any of your questions, again, please shoot a note to Jason here or Matt, depending on what your question is. They'll be happy to help you out. And hope to see you all again on the next webinar. Thanks again.
Thank you guys. Matt, thanks man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See you guys.